This was your first feature?
Yeah, it's my first feature.
Okay, it's really impressive. So I want to ask what your thoughts on the whole theory about like doing shorts first versus like jumping right into a feature.
Yeah, I mean, I made a lot of shorts. Like I've been making NFTs, and before, like I've been making films since I was like, I'm 33 now, so since I was 19, you know, so it's many years, and you know, obviously very bad shorts in the beginning.
We want to watch your shorts.
Yeah.
Just put them on YouTube because I can't find shorts anywhere.
You know what? Like my manager, like everything's been kind of like so curated now. Cause but yeah, I can send you some links. But yeah,
how did you fund it? Maybe just ask that. This feature, how did you fund?
How did I fund it? Yeah, I mean, actually, it was made off the back of my studies, basically at the National Film School. So we basically took a short that we made for the school and just like extended it. We got some additional financing and just added 2 more acts to that short film. So
and you used footage from the short in this feature.
Yeah.
Actual footage. Okay.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Oh, that's really interesting. So you kind of did it in 2 parts almost.
Basically, yeah.
That's interesting.
But like back to back, you know, like there was no like, you know, whereas like typically you would make a short,
right?
You wait a few years,
right.
You know.
So what part was the original short?
It was basically the first act.
Okay, yeah.
You know.
And so I just want to know, like, how'd you get into film?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what sparked your interest? Like, how did you want to become a filmmaker?
Film school.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean...
5K? Like
scholarships. No, I mean, it was actually expensive, like, the NFTs. I mean, if you're a home student, domestic student, like, you pay, like, 10K, and there's, like, a lot of scholarships. But, like, if you come from the U.S., there's, like, out-of-state fees, you know, so or out-of-country, international fees, rather, and that's, like, $25 a year, and, you know, it's a combination of scholarship, but the U.S. has a really cool thing with the UK, and I think it's exclusive with the UK, where you can study in the UK on US federal loans, you know, so like, I owe the US government a lot of money, basically.
Oh, no. Yeah. And so did you love films growing up?
Yeah, I did, yeah, because my brother, he's 10 years older than me, so he would always, like, you know, come around with, like, movies from, like, Blockbuster, and, like, you know, like, he was, I grew up in the Bronx, so it's, like, and like there's like a really strong street culture there, obviously, because it's New York City. But he would, you know, there was a time when he was like really into like gangster movies, and like he would bring like the Scorsese stuff home.
Oh, right, yeah.
And I just loved just like how, you know, I don't know if you guys are that familiar with New York City, but like
I used to live there.
Yeah.
But I didn't go to the Bronx that much.
Yeah, I mean the Bronx has like a lot of people.
It's the only place with a de. It's not the Brooklyn. It's only the Bronx.
It's the Bronx. Yeah. Do you know why?
I know.
No, why?
Yeah. Why? Because it's like there was a family called the Bronxes that owned like basically it used to be farmland.
Yeah.
So when people would say that they're like traveling up to the Bronx, like it was like we're traveling up to the Bronx.
Visit them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny.
Yeah, that's the name.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And it was spelled BRONCKS.
Is that like a Dutch name or something?
Must be. Yeah.
Yeah.
White family, super wealthy.
Yeah. They were like, you know, landowners.
1800s or something. Yeah.
Before it became, you know, like this urban kind of borough.
Right. So yeah, I wanted to ask you, like, what is your ideal day spent in the Bronx? Yeah.
Bronx. Actually, it's a
Your
like
family still there, by the way?
yeah, my family's still there. You know, my grandparents. You know, sadly, I love my grandparents. Like they're like my favorite people in the world. And like, last year we lost my grandma, so it was like, you know, the ideal day before, you know, that incident happened was just to, you know, like just spend time with them and like spend time with my grandma. Go home, she like make me a home cooked meal, you know, like with all the, you know, love and, you know, like flavors of like, cause we're Dominican, so like she would,
She Is she like the mom in the film?
My grandmother, she was sort of, I mean, my mom is like the mom in the film.
Okay,
My grandma definitely, you know, she's the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say, you know. So,
The sister in the film, she needs a sequel just about her.
Yeah,
she's great.
Yeah.
She needs like a movie where she becomes an influencer, like she's, or, you know.
I mean, she isn't. Like,
You're writing it now, right? You're writing the sequel.
Yeah, so the sequel is Destiny's Child.
Yeah, so Vanessa, so like, what's the deal? Like, what is troubling Rico? Like, why can't he get it together?
That's a good question. I mean, it's like, I think there's like a lot of, it's very layered, but, you know, obviously there's the idea of, masculinity and not having like a male role model at home and like just being like lost in one's interpretation of masculinity. I think that's what's happening with Rico. I also think he's
anti-vax. He doesn't like vaccines.
Yeah, that was a shocker.
He's a bit of a, because I feel like I grew up around a lot of guys like Rico who were like smart guys, but like not in the traditional sense. Like they wouldn't do so well in school, but they would like accumulate all this knowledge that was kind of like street knowledge. And you would go at a barbershop, for instance, when you're getting your haircut, you hear all these people talking
theories,
like conspiracy theories, and like you pick this stuff up, and I think that's kind of Rico. So like he probably heard this, I mean.
Well, now it's RFK Jr. It's like mainstream to be.
Yeah, now it's mainstream, right? Yeah. But I think it was interesting having that conversation or hearing like how it played yesterday at the premiere because I feel like this conversation is not as intense as it is in the U.S. here.
People aren't really.
People are just like, vaccines. That makes sense, right? There's science, whatever. But like in the U.S., people were like, it's such a divisive subject.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not really sure what the ratio is of people who are anti-vax in the U.S. It just seems like everyone that's right-wing is also kind of anti-vax.
Yeah.
But there is a thing with like young men sort of like, and he didn't go online to get this idea maybe, but like getting radicalized online and like suddenly coming out with these like, I'm anti-vax. I'm like,
He backtracked and he's okay with the vax at the end of the film. I wasn't sure about
it's never resolved where they stand on the vaxes, but I want to say that the woman
gets away.
Force the vaccines
right
because they want the child to go to school and all that,
of course. And then the sequel is like Contagion, where like everyone gets infected and this kid has to deal with that. But I love Destiny. She's like her arc is really amazing because at first she's like not talking at all, and then at the end she's so forceful and really exerts her power. I mean, she becomes like more powerful at the end is what I mean. But I thought that ending was like really sad because you thought it was a happy ending.
I thought they all made up at the end.
No, but I feel like he was being an asshole at the end. And she was really unhappy with the situation. You could see, and then it just ended. And I'm like, oh man.
It's interesting because people have different readings on it. People are like, oh, they're like. But the idea was to end it like with this sort of ambiguity, like what would happen to this couple,
right?
Because like in the last shot, like they're clearly together, but they're not together. It's like that.
I thought she should still stay with her mom and be separate, but maybe loving in a way.
Yeah, because
of course, small apartments affect relationships.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
You can't handle someone with your family.
Right. Yeah.
Place.
But so I was wondering, so the mom of Destiny, she is very like angry that her daughter got pregnant. So I think this is like a common thing, obviously, among parents to get upset when your kid is like 16 and pregnant, hence the MTV show. Right. But like, do you feel like Dominican, because she is also Dominican American, do you feel like they're more prudish?
I think, with a lot of Latin America, like, it can be quite conservative because of like Catholicism and stuff. So, especially like the older generations, they're more traditionalist in like their perspectives and things. But then, again, like you're raising a family, children in New York, and New York is a super progressive place that moves very fast. It's like, there's that clash of like the old school and the new school. I'm always so interested in that sort of like tension, like as a filmmaker. Because that's what I kind of experienced.
Generational differences.
That's.
Is that why Destiny kept it initially, the baby? Because I think normally, like if you're 16 and pregnant, you kind of are gonna slant more towards not keeping it.
Yeah, I mean, my mom was a teen mom. She had my older brother when she was like 17 or 16, and. Like it wasn't even like this was she was the 80s, right? But like she had like it wasn't even an option. Like having an abortion wasn't even like something that was because of like Catholicism.
Oh right,
like,
like
tradition
right.
of the family was
right.
Like, it was more so that like she had to get married basically as 17, you know?
Yeah.
Like she was forced into this like marriage.
Yeah.
That's how it was, you know. I mean,
did it last?
no.
Okay.
No. Completely exploded. But,
Yeah.
But you know, like today things are obviously a little bit more progressive and different. But
Right.
yeah, but that
You use cash. It's a cash-based movie. No contactless payments.
yeah, not contactless payments.
Yeah.
It's cash.
Steals this cash from the shoebox. Cash paid on the job.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
that's how it is. You know.
Yeah, it's true. I love the part where he's cleaning the bathroom in the like beach area, and he's like, "Oh, like who did this?"
Yeah. Initially, I saw it started. I thought it's gonna be based in South America. I saw a beach. I didn't even know it's gonna be in the Bronx initially. I didn't. But then I didn't even know Bronx has a cool beach. But
Yeah, a lot of people. I didn't know the Bronx had a beach either.
It's a bay, which is a man-made beach because it's basically like where like the Long Island Sound ends. It's just like this little like curved part of the.
like, how do you get these actors to do the short shot in London initially, and then you got the same actors?
No, we shot everything in New York.
The NFTS started as a short.
It started as a short. And then off the bat.
And you casted it in
New York. Everything was done in New York, and it was all in continuity, in the sense that like you know there was no break between the short and the feature. It was like we shot the short. That was the delivery to the school, and then we just stayed in New York for a few additional weeks to shoot the remaining acts of the story, and that became the feature.
So I thought the acting was really good, and how did you find these actors?
The cast, we get that question a lot. You know, we street cast because
how do you street cast?
We basically like printed a lot of flyers with like the information, then we would go to parks and beaches, distribute the flyers, or like you know go up to someone you know who looked interesting, like, hey, you know, would be curious to be in a film, and you know come to this you know location to audition. And so we saw like maybe close to like 100 people in that process, and we just had 4 weeks to do it, but like it was just like you know a revolving door of like people you know coming through and then chemistry testing until we found like the right combination. It's a combination of professionals and non-professionals. So Destiny Checo, she was completely experienced in acting, screen acting. We found her on like through a TikTok reel basically.
Oh wow.
And you DM'd her on TikTok?
She had a backstage account. And then on the backstage account, she didn't have anything, no resume, no anything, no phone number. She just had like a TikTok reel. And we were like, what the hell? Yeah, so we found her on TikTok, and then we got in touch. And
the sister actress?
The sister, she has more professional experience. She does like, you know, TV commercials back in the US. Joanna Florentino, who plays the mom, she's the most experienced of the actors. John, he has a lot of like theater acting experience, not a whole lot of like screen acting experience.
Okay, yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So you found, and you also happened to find them on the street, or you just found them other ways, and you found, like, did you happen to also find them on the street and they happened to be professional actors?
No, it was, I knew Joanna from years ago. Like I saw her in something, and I was like, I gotta work with this woman. She's great.
Yeah.
So I was just like, she was in the back of my mind. So I didn't offer to anybody else.
Right.
Like Joanna, I knew who Joanna was gonna be.
Yeah.
So in a way, I was casting everybody else around her so that they can look like her children.
Right. Yeah.
You made a short, and then you called them 1 year later to come back in?
They filmed continuously.
It was
Yeah,
it was all the same.
So it's funny because like actors go through so much. Like if you go to RADA, for example, that's like it's like an Olympic sport. Like you have to train for years, and it's like so rigorous. But then I also find like when I watch movies where the actors maybe have less formal experience, or they're not like huge names, the acting is actually so much better than like because I feel like trained acting can sometimes come across as a bit artificial.
Really?
Yeah. And I'm just amazed because the acting is like so naturalistic. I mean, so perfect. It's like, you're not even watching a movie, really.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think there's a lot of talented big name actors and things like that.
Yeah.
But like, I think maybe ego has something to do with it, you know?
Perhaps,
I don't know. Like, but I feel like these actors are just like, their heads are not big, they're just so like, and also like, how we cast the role, or how we cast it would like, although, you know, people are playing fictional characters, like they're still interpreting like shade of their reality. You know, there's this direct connection. Like I was having a chat with Juan yesterday, like in the cocktail hour after our premiere, and he was like, yeah, like he was like, you know, I was going through a lot of shit that was so he was just like watching the film. It's such a difficult experience for me because like, he's like, I am Rico, and I'm like, I know, that's why I cast you. Like, just find out now.
Long hair today. Short.
He has long hair. Yeah.
He grew it out.
Yeah, he grew it out. Yeah.
So did you, when you wrote the script, also did you write out like how much of the script was improvised versus written out?
Yes, it was like 30% of it was written like in traditional format. So the first act was written, and we needed that document to get like our financing and our like and then everything else was like in bullet form.
So you could have just did bullet form to shoot it. You just had to do the whole script for financing. Because nobody needs it on set, maybe in a movie like that. Just the headline.
So my process really, you know, like I try to. Obviously, we went into it knowing the structure, like the dramatic structure, and you know, how the scene by scene things were going to play out. But like the nuances of what was going on in the dialogue and the blocking and things, like that was, I like to discover that with the cast, right? So like, you know, even if I have a text, I always try to go into the rehearsal with the idea like, okay, let's break it and let's rewrite it. So that's kind of what we were doing.
So how many takes would it take for each scene?
Yeah, it would vary. Sometimes it would be like, you know, 1 or 3 takes. Sometimes like 20 takes. You know, it would really vary.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we shot a lot within a short period of time. It was like almost 2 weeks.
Too much footage, you'd say?
27 hours of footage, but we knew the structure. It wasn't like a documentary where like you have so much footage and you're trying to find the story, how to edit it. Like we knew all the scenes that we had. We just had a lot of takes but it was 27 hours, and you know, it's single setup, so the takes are long, like 7-minute takes, 8-minute takes.
And so what was the genesis of, like, how did this idea come to you for the story?
Yeah, I was talking about this last night at the Q&A, but it was like kind of a like pandemic, like, you know, I was just reflecting a lot about my childhood and this personality, this sort of Rico personality who, like, you know, I wasn't a teen dad, and you know, I never hustled like weed or like nutcrackers or whatever, but I had so many friends who were hustlers, and like, just like, I just was thinking about them. I was thinking about like, oh, where's this person today? Where's this? But anyway, there's like, I knew so many guys like this, and the common thread was that like they're just like guys that were just fucking tornadoes. Like anywhere that they went, like it was just like anything they touched like exploded, you know. And I was just like, you know, I kind of just wanted to, I don't know, the character just stayed in my mind, and I just, you know, over the years, like maybe I was like thinking about this idea for like 4 years or something, you know, and like, you know, I was like, it just kept coming back, so I was like, okay, I gotta make a film. Yeah.
I kept researching for stuff about the film, and there's nothing on YouTube. No trailer yet. But there's one guy who kind of hijacked your YouTube search who's talking about the film.
Really?
Sitting on YouTube.
I hope it's positive.
I tried to figure out.
It's like, this film sucks. Like,
first thing I've seen.
Yeah.
To find a trailer, and like these guys.
Look, you know, we're still kind of breaking. Like, you know, obviously we were at Sundance last month. Now we're here. We don't have distribution yet, so like the idea is that, you know, once the distributor comes on board, we'll collaborate on the trailer and the poster and all these things. So like we're kind of flying under the radar. So
it's hard for journalists to get what's going on there.
Yeah. No,
it's quite mysterious, I guess.
I guess so.
So tell me about nutcrackers or nutties. So this is not just a drink that Rico invented. This is like an existing drink,
right?
And it's like, is it like Gatorade with alcohol?
It's not Gatorade with alcohol, but
you want to make it at home.
Yeah. Tell us the recipe.
I mean, I honestly, everybody who makes nutcrackers has their own recipe.
Okay.
Like, there's no standard.
Serve it. The next film premiere you do.
At Sundance.
Oh, amazing.
Okay. Because like we were in Utah, you know, the alcohol law, because like Mormon.
Right. They can't drink. Yeah.
But so we had to, like, you know, but we couldn't serve it at the
Full of
premiere.
it to Utah. You brought it. Like,
We had to get like a bartender. So we had a party, sort of premiere party, and then we had a bartender, and then who we gave a recipe to, and then he made it, and then he had a license. And then at 1 or 2 a.m. he had to close it. You know.
Oh no.
It's very strict, and you know whatever.
Okay, so tell us the recipe.
Yeah, so it's like a concoction of many alcohols. So it's like Everclear vodka, like rum. It's like basically like a Long Island iced tea with fruit juice essentially.
Okay.
And some people, I don't know if you know like what a Jolly Rancher is. It's like like a candy. Like,
love Jolly Rancher.
Yes, like some people will like drop a Jolly Rancher inside.
And that's where you get the color.
Yeah, the color, the flavor. But it's a lot of sugar. So it's like you drink it thinking like it's like a fruit juice or you know like
it tastes really not alcoholic.
But then
then it kicks in.
Do you remember like Four Locos and all
Of course, that was came out the first year I was in college.
It's kind of like that effect where it's like you drink one or two and you're just like completely wasted. Okay. It's like the sugar and the alcohol really messes you up, and like and then you're drinking it out usually on the beach or on a hot day, so
and it's like
dehydrated.
But it sounds delicious though. I love a Jolly Rancher flavor.
And the film protagonist Rico, he makes it. Oh, we don't know, but he sells.
Make it in his kitchen. So is he a budding alcoholic? Because I remember when I was in my 20s or around his age, like people drank a lot more. Your body can handle it a lot more. But is he a budding alcoholic?
I think you have signs or moments in the film where like you can see that like this is a slippery slope for him. Like he can easily turn into because I think he begins to use alcohol as a means of coping, you know, and you see that in moments in the film. So
there was
I guess maybe in 10 years, you know.
Yeah, who knows?
Who knows?
There was a scene, because I think you did shots of the Bronx, and one of them was like the U.S. Army or like something like that. And then you see Rico getting his hair cut, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he's getting it shaved to join the Army.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's a good read.
But I would be depressed too if I was Rico, because it's like, it seems like he has all this stress of a baby, and he, you know, wants to support it and be there and everything. But like his job options seem very slim, you know what I mean? And so it's like, I really get where he's coming from, you know? I mean, his mom is like, seems to berate him and say you're lazy and everything. But like what are his options, you know?
No, I guess that's, you know,
because his job at the beach,
kind of like whittling down, and like not much, you know, like he gets fired, his girlfriend leaves him, and like, you know, the whole military, it's a recruitment center. Like I would walk by all the time,
right?
You know, because like Fordham is like, it's like the Times Square of the Bronx, like, it's like the main shopping district, the commercial district. But like a lot of young people, like again, like a few people that I grew up around, you know, who like found themselves like at like the end of the road. The next option was like, fuck it, I'm gonna join the military. Marine to the army or whatever it is. Oh, thank you.
There's this book, Cherry.
Thank you.
I can't remember who wrote it, but we met him once. But the book is called Cherry, and it's about this, except it's set in Ohio, where this guy is like kind of at loose ends, and so he just joins the army thinking that it's gonna be like solve all his problems, but it turns out to be awful because he comes back really traumatized, and he gets a heroin addiction and everything. So it's actually really bleak.
It's interesting.
Was there a religious element of Rico wanting to keep the baby, or there was no religious? Like,
why did Rico at 19?
We actually, it would have been interesting, but we shot the scene of, because they go to an abortion clinic to get an abortion, and then in the story, and this is in the material. And then Rico, as they're kind of getting the consultation by the doctor, Rico, who in the moment like really wants to get the abortion, he's like, no way, I'm not ready to be a dad. Like changes his mind and like convinces. But we took it out because we thought it was more interesting to learn slowly, like about this pregnancy and reveal destiny and things. I think this made more sense for the film. But like, at least in the script, the idea was that the world has labeled him as a loser, and he feels that like in having this baby, he can kind of redeem himself in a way, or kind of like, you know,
he
show
can
to
turn
the
it
world that
around.
he can, you know, So like, it's almost like it's so tied to, and it's such a Rico thing, because it's like tied to his narcissism, right?
Right. Is he a narcissist?
I mean, I don't try to judge my character. Like, I don't know, but I guess you could say he has like.
Because he seems. It's funny because he does seem like a nice guy. Like when you're just talking to him, but then this stuff comes out. Like he kicked her out. He kicked Destiny out one night. I mean, and he's flirting with other women.
That's why she got in touch with her mom again. So it did turn out for the best somehow.
Yeah. By the way, where did she go after he kicked her out?
No.
Basically her mom.
Because I thought her mom.
So the idea is that like there's like a ellipsis in the time. And I think the idea, at least in my brain, I hope others see it that way too. But is that she stays in like Sally's bedroom until her mother. They're just sort of like separated. But separated, as much as you can be separated in a small New York City apartment.
Right.
This guy on YouTube who hijacked your YouTube results said that he should have just listened to women in his life.
It's true. I mean, they are the voices of reason. I love the scene where they're all three of them shouting at him.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of wisdom, and like somebody mentioned this, I think maybe yesterday, but it's just like, the women in a sense have like such a clear sense of identity, like and like kind of kinship, and like whereas like as a man, like Rico is basically alone. Like you don't really see him like talk to many men in the film. Like he's so it's like he's lacking that wisdom and that insight, that foresight that the women have. Like
that's true. And I wanted to ask also, like a lot of people have compared you to Sean Baker. And it did remind me of Sean Baker's first movie, I think, which is, have you seen it, called Takeout? But like. Who in like what filmmakers have inspired you generally?
Yeah, I mean, I love Sean Baker. Like, I don't know, like he's, I feel like, it's really flattering, but like, it's not like I'm trying to speak on like a very specific experience, and I'm speaking on experiences, or adjacent experiences that
you've experienced.
Yeah, I've experienced. Like I said, there's like a personal component to it too. But I love like the sort of, sort of the directors that work with improvisation, like Cassavetes in the U.S. Of course, like it's like godfather of independent film. And this style, and then like on the French side, there's Maurice Pialat, who I love a lot, and I think they're kind of like these two directors are like, I really hold in high regard. And like a lot of European filmmakers, like Scorsese as well. As I said, he's like kind of like like everybody says that, but then there's a lot of people doing great work in the hybrid space as well, like Roberto Minervini. More serious films, I guess. And
what did Roberto make that you like? What did Roberto make?
He made The Other Side, like his film set in like the Louisiana, kind of Texas region of the country. I think he's the most interesting like filmmaker in America, and he's Italian. Like
and what do you mean by hybrid spaces?
Like doing sort of like documentary fiction. Or in that sense, I would love to like I think Rico or Matt Bills. It's a film that is more fiction. It's more fiction with documentary elements. But I think eventually I would like to sort of move toward documentary with fictional elements. I think.
That's interesting.
Which is harder to fund and harder to get support. But like I live in the UK now, so I'm like in this in between space. I feel like in Europe there's more. I just like some filmmakers, maybe I shouldn't mention names so much because like I don't want to get in trouble, but like that just misrepresent like like the where I'm from,
the Bronx.
I'm from the Bronx and like uptown Manhattan and stuff, and like there have been some productions like that have gone
going to Bronx and making
like from Netflix or like like it's just going and it's just like that's not how people talk, that's not how people this is like you guys got it wrong, But
there's this book where the lawyer killed someone at the Bronx by accident.
It's Bonfire of the Vanities. It's by Yeah, Tom Wolfe. Yeah.
Book from the 80s, I believe.
Yeah.
And they use the Bronx as this jungle. Johannes Bronx, they call it.
Johannes, interesting. You know, like I think it's like, because like a lot of people, even to like people that I've met here, you know, who've been to New York, like many people who visited, like no one ever visits, says like, oh, very few people say like,
they go Yankees only.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just like people have this idea in mind that like the Bronx is.
Sorry, and the fire. There's always a fire there.
Yeah. Like it's like the 70s and 80s. Like, oh, it's dangerous. It's whatever. But it's like it's honestly like it's changed so much, and it's as safe as any other part of like New York City. Like as safe as Brooklyn, as safe as like. But people still hold on to the stereotype, and it's sad on the one hand because it's like, you know, like there's so many stereotypes about this place that aren't really true anymore. But on the other hand, it's like good because, you know, it just keeps the people away. And I think
gentrification.
Yeah. Like the Bronx is one of the few places that aren't, you know, that's still like, it's still so New York. You know, you want that old school, like New York kind of feel in the Bronx still. Like, whereas like everywhere else in New York City is like disappearing, you know, it's disappeared.
Yeah, totally.
But,
okay, cool.
Okay,
So,
yeah. All right, that was great. Thank you so much. This is fantastic.